My name is Mia. I'm a 24-year-old working professional. I've been dating a guy 1 year my senior, who I work with for 3 years, and we have decided to get married. I have 3 years older sister. She is already married and has moved out of our family home. I live at my parents' home with them. My parents, especially my mother, are incredibly fond of my sister, and I was raised in a home where there was a clear discrepancy in the amount of affection we received. Even though it seems like my father also favors my sister, he does value me as well. That was the only saving grace. I wanted to move out of my parents' house as soon as possible and live with my boyfriend, but for some reason, my mother wouldn't allow it. Even though my sister moved in with her husband before they got married, I wondered why I couldn't. I figured she wanted half of my help around the house, and half of it was just out of spite. My mother, however, had a completely different personality in public. It happened in front of my boyfriend. I braced myself for whatever nastiness she might throw at my boyfriend, but she was surprisingly kind to him. This was because my boyfriend's father was an executive at a major corporation, and my boyfriend was set to transfer to his father's company after gaining experience at his current job. Looking ahead to my boyfriend's future, she is aiming to increase her reputation now to secure future assistance. Since my boyfriend is completely deceived by my mother's brilliant acting, I can't discuss anything about my mother with him. My sister has always looked down on me. She would mock me, citing the difference in our parents' expressions of love. I was sick and tired of my sister, who always insisted she was superior to me, her younger sister. 4 years ago, my sister married her husband 2 years older than her, who works for a famous manufacturer. Being employed by a famous manufacturer, he earned a good salary. I was constantly reminded of that. However, once she learned that my boyfriend will eventually work under his father, who is an executive at a large corporation, she stopped talking about her husband. My sister used to visit our family home almost every day during the weekday. I don't know what she was doing with my mother, who is a housewife, but when I came back from work, she looked at me with pity and didn't say a word of comfort. Since I work, I can save money. I don't make a lot, but I manage to save a little bit each month, saving for my future. Thanks to her husband's high income, my sister can get by without working. She was proud, even though it wasn't her own earnings. Do you have any money saved for your future? Well, I mean, for the future, kind of. In a bank account. I took it all out once for wedding expenses and organization, and it's being kept safe for now. There's also a down payment for the wedding, so I wanted to do some calculations. Well, I see. Mom mentioned that there was money in the safe. Yes, temporarily. I was curious as to why she asked this, but it would later lead to a major commotion. The payment for our wedding is to be borne by both families. However, since his parents were more keen on the ceremony, they were to pay a larger portion. We agreed to pay the down payment ourselves. When my sister got married, her in-laws also paid a larger portion, which was a relief for our ordinary family. About a month later, my sister, as always, barged into our family home. However, what was different this time was her car. The car, proudly parked as if showing off, was a popular model. I assume she bought it with her husband's money, but this time it was different. Mia, have you seen my car? Huh, your car? I saw it. That's a relief. You know, Mom bought that for me. I was quite taken aback. Honestly, I wondered where such money came from. It wasn't a large car, but it was a new model that cost close to $30,000. I was amazed at the extent of their affection for my sister. Even going as far as to buy her a car, it was shocking. It's good for you, isn't it? Make sure you thank Mia. What? Why should she thank me? I had no idea what Mom was talking about, but they both gave me a sinister smile. That one, we used your money to buy it, huh? Thanks a lot, Mia. I didn't understand what they were saying, and I was confused. The $30,000 in the safe, we used it to buy your sister's car. That was supposed to be your wedding fund, but that's okay, right? We're family. Mom said, looking at me with a mean grin. I mean, you were pretty cheeky to keep such a large amount of money. It's gone now. That's not my money. It wasn't even for my wedding. Huh? Mom's face instantly turned serious. Looking back, it makes me laugh. My sister next to me was also taken aback. I've already managed my money and returned it to my bank account, and I didn't even save up to $30,000. But for some reason, Mom was looking at me with a skeptical eye. Dad said he hasn't withdrawn the wedding expenses yet, so isn't that the different money in the safe? While looking at each other, Mom and my sister seemed to be piecing together the information they knew. So, whose money is that? I can't confirm whose it is, but Mom thought I was bluffing and smirked at my statement of no confirmation. However, I had seen an envelope marked $30,000 when I borrowed the safe from Dad before. Therefore, it's not my money. Well, anyway, we're grateful to you, Mia. Take good care of the car. It's wrong to lay hands on someone else's money without any permission. They both misinterpret things and just let the conversation go on, but Mom will regret this terrible mistake she made. My sister went home in her new car, and Mom went out shopping. I was left alone in the living room, increasingly wanting to leave this house as soon as possible. Thinking back, neither my mother nor sister ever congratulated me on my marriage. Mom made a big fuss when my sister was getting married. She wept with joy at the news of my sister's wedding. At the same time, I was practically forced by my sister and Mom to give a gift of $1,000. Mom was overjoyed, checking on the progress of my sister's wedding and looking at the photos of the venue. When it came to my wedding, after looking at the estimate for the wedding cost, which was considerably cheaper than my sister's lavish and expensive wedding, she blatantly showed her displeasure and gave me a cold response, "Do as you please." Even before my sister got married, I had to listen to endless boasting about her husband Doob. Income, looks, personality, information I didn't ask for kept coming my way. She say hates to me every time. "I doubt you could ever find such a great guy anyway," she said, something a sister should never say to her younger sibling. I focus on my work to look back someday, overcame the difficult life at my parents' house, and met my current boyfriend. He's a high achiever at work, where we are both employed. As I mentioned before, he is set to transfer to a major corporation where his father is an executive. Our current workplace is a subcontractor for his father's company, so we make a decent income. Originally, it seems that the company has been discussing the extent to which he will transfer to his father's company after gaining experience and training at his current workplace. For our current company, nurturing my boyfriend and sending him off well would lead to a healthy business relationship with our clients. At first, when my sister learned that my boyfriend worked at the same company as me, she made a derogatory comment, saying, "He's just like you." However, after explaining his future prospects, she fell silent, probably because the company where my boyfriend will transfer is an even larger corporation than my brother-in-law's company. My sister's condescending attitude hasn't changed at all since we were in elementary school. Our parents indulged her a lot. They would buy her any toy she wanted without hesitation, and there was always a lot of favoritism. My dad, feeling sorry for me, would spend time playing with me. However, my sister, who's good at ingratiating herself with others, sometimes manipulated him to distance him from me. I really despise my sister. She has a cheerful personality and speaks briskly. While I'm not necessarily introverted, I'm quiet and often felt obligated to be mindful of my favored sister. From my mom's perspective, I always seem dissatisfied. I don't think that interpretation is necessarily wrong, but I think her character as a mother is utterly mistaken. A week after my sister showed off her new car. As usual, my sister came home, and she and my mother were relaxing in the living room while I was in my room. Suddenly, the door of the room next to mine, my father's room, flung open, and I could hear the sound of him rushing down the stairs. I could hear my father raising his voice, so I went downstairs to see what was going on. My father was questioning my mother and sister alternately. "It was there. I'm sure it was in there." "No, In what form?" "In the form. It's an envelope." "Hey, Mia, have you been in the safe lately? I only got some money out when I asked you to." My sister was clearly flustered and kept glancing outside. In the direction of her gaze was that new car. "Mia, do you know anything about this?" My mother looked at me with a startled expression. Her face read, "Don't say a word. Don't you think Mom and Sis know more about this?" Wait, what are you saying? I have nothing to do with this. What are you saying?" Despite them revealing the source and usage of the money to me, I was taken aback by their audacity to feign ignorance. "And that car?" My finger was pointing at my sister's beautiful new car. "Hey, don't tell me." "No way, right? No, I got it as a gift." "From whom?" Mom, that is, well, I could see my mother's face turning pale. My sister looked like she wanted to run away from there. It was the first time I'd seen such expressions on their faces. That envelope is Maya's money, isn't it? But Mia just said she took it out of the safe. What do you mean, Mia's money? It's the money that Mia been saving. I haven't withdrawn it yet. What the hell are you talking about? Even if it's Maya's, are you going to use it without permission? Well, my mom kept sneaking glances at my sister, but my sister wouldn't make eye contact. This is my sister's personality. Mom must be shocked. That money was meant for the remodeling of this house, to make it accessible for your parents to live here. Hug it was. I knew that Mom had been asking Dad for a while to let her mother live with us. She wanted to take care of our grandmother, who had been lost her energy since losing our grandfather a few years ago. While Dad's parents were doing fine since his siblings were nearby, Mom didn't have any siblings, and her mother was living alone. So, she wanted her mother to live with us. We were considering making our house accessible to facilitate this. My parents thought that if they made the house accessible, it would be beneficial when they got older. The money was precisely for that, a sum of $30,000. My mother had mistaken it for my money. What are you going to do now? You knew we were going to make the house accessible, right? We even discussed it. Yay. We've already signed the contract. The construction begins next month. What are you going to do now? Overwhelmed by Dad's angry questions, Mom could only stand there, tearing up. My sister remained as indifferent as ever. We'll have to cancel the construction. No. In that case, there is no cohabitation. Explain yourself to your parents. Can't we figure something out? Dad slammed his hand down on the table, raising his voice. Don't joke around. You figure it out. Then, the only thing we can do is sell the car. Wait a minute. That's not an option. Can't we maybe take some money from your household? Please, help us. I can't tell that to my husband. The two of them, who had been so united in pushing me, were now at odds. Dad watched them with an expression of disbelief. Mom, who had done something irrevocable, was indeed in a dire situation. And it seemed that she was getting even more frantic, knowing that her plans for living with her parents had fallen through. My sister was trying to play dumb with Dad, as if to fool him, but Dad was not having any of it this time. That made sense. The new car parked outside was bought with the money from our safe. And it seemed he was getting tired of my sister's desperate attempts to shirk responsibility. But you agreed to the cohabitation. You said you would take care of Mom. What's this out of the blue? You're the one who messed up. Your parents are fine, right? You have siblings around. My mother is alone, and there's no one nearby for her. True, Mom's family lived out of state, not close by at all. However, Mom was merely lashing out now. Dad got even angrier, and a huge argument erupted, escalating to the point where the situation got out of hand. The money involved only made matters worse. And it really didn't seem right that Dad was getting all the blame. Just as I thought, my sister was trying to sneak out of the room when she saw her chance, but I had stealthily moved the car keys from the table to Dad's side, preventing her from escaping. If you want the cohabitation, then take responsibility. What you did is no different from theft. On hearing this, Mom dropped her gaze, seemingly resigned. When Dad stated that the money Mom used for the car purchase was from the safe, and that my sister was equally guilty, my sister lost her temper. Dad, you had always been lenient with my sister, showed a stern face this time around. Hey, don't you think? Isn't it confusing with Mia? Even Mom misunderstood. It seemed that even Dad was troubled by my sister, who never learns. She stubbornly refuses to back down when it comes to me. No, so just because it's Maya's money, it doesn't mean you can use it, right? I'm not the bad one. What's with Mia? Marrying a man with a promising future. He's just spoiled. He's just living off our parents' connections. I've always put up with the treatment I received from my sister. But this time, I just couldn't stand it. Isn't your husband's family strange too? What are you thinking? Spoiling him like that? I don't want to be told by the likes of you. You're so spoiled and naive, you're disgusting. Even my mom and dad, along with my sister, were surprised by my unprecedented outburst of anger. Who are you calling disgusting? I'm talking to you. The one who doesn't defend Mom who bought you a car and only thinks about her own safety. My anger reached its peak, making my sister step back. By the way, the executive of your husband's main client is my boyfriend's father. My sister looked like she was about to faint from the shock. This was the first time I mentioned it, and my sister's husband still doesn't know. The person your husband is working so hard to sell to is his father. If I tattle on you to my boyfriend's father, all your husband's efforts will be in vain. Please, don't tell him. My sister looked like she was about to burst into tears. As for what happened next, Dad made a condition for living with Mom. It was a choice between living in the house without making it barrier-free, using Mom's savings for renovations, or not living together at all. The deadline for the answer was a week later. Mom spent this week with a lifeless look on her face, lost in thought. A few days later, I noticed Mom's passbook on the living room table. Inside, there was an amount that must be Mom's savings. However, it was not enough for the renovation. She must have been thinking that she had no choice but to give up on living together. I brought up a certain proposal to Dad. At first, Dad was surprised, but as it was a suggestion from me who was supposed to be the victim, he accepted it. Then, a week later, Mom said as planned that she would give up on living together. But Dad cut her off. You have $10,000 in your account, right? Take it all out. What? Dad said that and took out the blueprint and estimate for the construction. The original estimate is $30,000, but if we downgrade the plumbing products, it'll cost $25,000. Mom listened to Dad's explanation, nodding weakly. I can afford $10,000, leaving money for Maya's wedding. But I can't afford more than that. That leaves us $5,000 short. It seemed that Mom had resigned herself to the fact that she had to give up, and she was looking down. The remaining $5,000 will be assisted by Mia. What? Grandma's not to blame, and Mom would be in trouble, right? It's the money I've been saving just in case something happens. Mom covered her face with both hands and nodded while crying. Go ahead with it, Dad. Okay. Are you really okay with this? I nodded in agreement. My mom repeatedly bowed her head, expressing her gratitude. All this time, I've been so cold to Mia, caused her discomfort, thought it was okay to use her money because it was hers. Despite being so awful, and yet, she said, sobbing as she took my hand, I'm really sorry. Thank you so much. I get it. In return, make sure you properly celebrate my wedding, as a mother should. After making some slight modifications to the construction plan, the work commenced as scheduled. The renovation was completed without any problems, and it was decided that my grandmother would soon be moving in with us. As for my sister, she didn't visit our parents' house for a while, but apparently, she did apologize to them. Although she didn't apologize to me directly, it seems that she acknowledged her mistakes. My mom did a complete turnaround from her previous attitude, interacting with me in a much gentler tone. Perhaps it's because of the money, and she feels remorseful. And then, as planned, my wedding took place. Both my father and mother seemed very happy. My sister's husband was fervently buttering up my fiancé's father, bowing to him and pouring his drinks. My sister's surprised face when she realized that my story was true was quite memorable. And thus, our family's major problem was resolved. Along with it, the problems in my life neatly wrapped up too. By the way, when we projected a picture of my sister doting on me with love when I was less than a year old during the wedding, it seemed that my sister had secretly shed a few tears.